Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you build a Lego city regardless of the space you have. Welcome to Building a MOC from Start to Finish, a series that I do quite typically, and the project I'm currently working on is a cathedral. This is made from 3 Lego official sets: the Harry Potter Hogwarts Great Hall, 2 sets of that, and the Hogwarts Clock Tower. But I've integrated everything to be complete buildings, and if you missed any of the previous parts of the video in the series, please do check out the links in the description. So we've got a complete building which is modular in nature, in the sense that I can open it up so that we can access the interior. And in the last video, I actually worked on this standalone build because my original idea was to have this as possibly a residence for the priest or the religious leader, or it could be a mausoleum, which is another idea I had. I also asked people in my live stream what they thought, and the general consensus is that this should be integrated with the main build, because that was also an original idea I had considered before. So this would form the back of the cathedral, so it's one massive build, and obviously we'll need a bigger base plate. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to try to integrate this build with the main cathedral, and we'll see how that goes. The first thing I will have to do is to switch base plates, and I will be using now 2 32 by 32 stud base plates. I would have to transplant the builds onto these base plates, and this is currently sitting on a 16 by 16 thick plate. I'll take this off. I will plate the underneath with maybe 1 by something dark gray plates or 2 by something plates, and then I'll transfer everything onto this base plate. This is actually currently sitting on a custom 48 by 32 stud base plate, which I custom cut, but that's not a problem at all. I can always reuse it for another MOC. So I'll first have to transplant the build, or the main build, here, and I'm also going to actually shift it, because once I have done this and created this huge build, one idea I definitely want to visit is to create a graveyard. Many of my subscribers enjoyed the idea of a graveyard. I just think people in Lego like graveyards for some reason. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to move this entire build to this side. Maybe I'll bring it in by 3 studs. Yeah, probably at least 3 studs, maybe even 4 studs. This is to give much more space on this side over here, because the idea is to create a graveyard and maybe put a nice big tree as well. That's what I'm thinking. So this is a tourist attraction in the brick beach section of my Lego city, Small Brick City. So I think this would work very well as a picture site, and the position it is in my city makes it okay for it to be placed all the way on one end or side of the base plate. And if I do change this location or have a larger Lego city, I can always then just add more space with a custom base plate, or even a smaller 8 stud white base plate on the side to create space on the other side if I need. But for my needs now, it would make sense to shift it off to one side and to put it on 2 base plates. So let's get started. I've successfully transplanted the main cathedral that I've built so far, and I did push it back as well because I want a bit more space in front, because this overlooks my beach. So I do want to make sure there's enough space so that it doesn't seem such a weird short entrance. If it's such a grand entrance, there needs to be space in front, and I believe this is about the minimum we can get. And if you look at this side, we have still lots of space over here for minifigs to pass through, as well as to add exterior detail. I will need to make sure all this is pressed down by the time we complete the MOC, of course. And the back here is really the space for this build, which will have to be modified. Obviously, you can see it looks like it's out of the plate now, but it will not be. In fact, it should be, by my calculations, at least 2 studs in when it's fully integrated. And once I do that, there'll still be enough space in front here. I think it'll be a good place for a tree somewhere here, and then we can have the graveyard all the way here. So what I'm going to do now is to try to integrate this with this. I'm not looking forward to it, because I think it's going to be quite a challenge. I do have to make this side pretty as well. what I want to do as far as I can is to take this part here, because I do like this extruded window part. I want to try to transplant it over here, but just due to the curved nature, it's probably not going to be so simple unless I change the curved nature. So I'm gonna think about it, and I'm gonna be as careful as I can as I break this down and just try to put everything together. Here's what I've got so far. I've created a passageway to go through. I moved these windows over here. These actually came from this side of the clock tower, which has the stained glass. Now it's hard to see from this angle, but basically this didn't come from the back. I still have the original back over here. Those are brown frames. So that goes there. Maybe they should be in, yeah, maybe I should push them in one by one, because I think it's a bit too close to that. So I'm going to redo that. But other than that, I've got the passageway. It's a very simple arch passageway that connects the two parts of the building. And here we have part of the ground floor of the back of the cathedral. Originally this was supposed to be a mausoleum, but now it's combined, so let's call it a special quarters. It's where the priests give special training to the altar boys. So you can go through there and go up the stairs over here, and I have to work this out, and I want to try to put this back in somehow. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it just yet, but hopefully there might be a way. At least I preserve that look. So what I want to do now is to move this in, but if I move this in, the problem is it would knock against this archway here. What I could do is not have this curved out, but then again I'm going to have that sloped roof anyway, so it's going to block the windows. So let me just have a think of what I want to do. Maybe I would have them higher. So I'll think about it, and then I'll decide whether I want to do any changes. So I've thought of what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to replace the windows, build it solid, but have modified bricks to put two of these, I guess you call them banners, here on either side, so it's decoration, so it doesn't look so plain, but then I don't have to worry about the window. So I can build it solid, but I do need to figure out a place. I guess it's going to be here, right here, and right here. I think that would work fine, and then I'll probably move this up by one. So let's go ahead and do that. Here's what we've got. I think it looks much better now. We've got some bunting, that's the word, bunting, hanging down, and decided just to use the Gryffindor's flags. I think they fit the cathedral the best, but of course, if you were to build this, you could use anything you want. It does look a bit more plain here, but remember, I think largely this part of the wall will be blocked because of that pitch roof over here for the connector that I'll be building, as well as this full story of this building. So I'm going to see if there's a way that I can secure this down better, and I think the way to do it is actually to change the plating underneath. So I'll give that a shot. I replated the bottom. I know it doesn't seem like much, but now this section's actually a bit more secure, and that's the connector between the two buildings. What I need to do now is to figure a way to integrate this design into this back of this build. Now, the way I originally designed the modular was for the top to come off. That's why you see this roof. This is just one solid block, and that can be removed. However, it was dependent on these curved panels being used at the top over here. So here's the issue if I do have these curved panels in place. As you can see, the issue is this. It doesn't really go all the way to the top. So what I could possibly do is take out one row of these windows. Not ideal, but at least I still kind of get that look going. The only thing is whether it would, if I can get it the same height, because I need to use these parts over here. So let's just give it a shot. Let me put this here, and even if I were to do this, yeah, so the issue is it is still higher than what I have. So I'm going to give it a think. I think I have a potential solution to reconcile the two. I will keep part of that original window here, but I'm going to move this back by one brick, and I'm going to keep the structure on the top floor. That's just so that I can keep this roof easily like that. I'll worry about the details in terms of the exterior aesthetic detail later on. Let me just work out the structure first, and I'll start off by shortening this particular room. I think this works, at least from a very basic structural point of view. I can see lots of room to add in more dimension here. I think the greatest challenge that I have to think about is this over here. I have to figure out this back and just how to make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing. I don't think it's horrible, I don't think it's great, but I will stop the video here for now because I think it's important that I'll sleep on this, and I will revisit this with a fresh pair of eyes. But structurally, I think we are there in terms of the size and the footprint. So if I were to just give you an idea, once again, what I intend to have over here is the graveyard, and that can be almost the entire side over here, and then can be a tree somewhere here as well. I don't know why I'm thinking of a tree, but I think just add a bit of greenery, but I do not want it too big at the same time because I do not want to block this back. So tell you what, I'll just put everything back together so that you can have a look at how the entire build looks like. Here's a quick look at the entire structure. So I did change that particular top wall so that I could put in this pitch roof. So this pitch roof mirrors the pitch roof over here on this side of the clock tower, so there's symmetry, and it does work very well in terms of just, you know, joining these two builds together. I can see how I can add dimension over here, such as to create some sort of protrusion like this, and that will give this more dimension so it doesn't look so flat. So I think they're just minor things that I need to do in order to change this. I'll also think how I can make this more interesting. I am limited or restricted by these curved panels, so that is tricky, and of course to make it modular in nature. So that's why I can pop this off, not that way, but I can take this off like that, and we can access or at least see the interior, and then it's easy enough to fit this back on. But we can't access the inside over here, but there's nothing much except the stairs, and you can see that when you look down from the top. But that's basically it. I am happy with the result. There's still lots of more to do in terms of exterior texture. For example, this clock can't be here. I have only one clock after all, it is a church. So there's still lots to do, not even counting the texturing for the base plate, adding in the graveyard. So in the next part, what I think I want to do is to focus on adding texture to the outside, maybe some basic texture, and then I will work on the interior of the cathedral. That's the main hall over here. What I think I will do is to work on this particular part offline because I just want to sleep on that, and I'll see, hopefully I can add some improvements, and in the next video you'd see this part improved and we can work on the interior as well as a bit of the exterior of the building. So I hope you're enjoying this process of building this MOC from start to finish. As usual, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts, or if you have any improvements that you think can be done. This is still a work in progress. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification button. Thanks for watching. Check out these two videos before you go.